Hey there, everyone, and welcome to Varsity Spotlight. I'm Jack Taylor.
And I'm Jeff Taylor. Now, on today's show, we're going to shine the spotlight on high school rugby here in the Queen City as we introduce you to the Charlotte Cardinals Rugby Club.
Yeah, the club was founded back in 2021 and has provided coaching and learning skills for youth from elementary through high school and to learn the values and life lessons the rugby game teaches. We'll talk about that and more over the next few minutes.
But we start by introducing you to the man in charge of the Cardinals Red team that is currently the #1 team in the nation. Take a look.
Yeah, grew up in South Africa, played rugby since the age of about 5 or 6. My dad was actually a coach of the under-19. Whenever they had a few players short, I would sit in the change room hoping for a jersey. I don't think I did much because the kids were a little bit bigger and older than I was, but got on and it was just a highlight of that age. And then grew up playing my entire high school, middle school, and then right into college, and then played with the Eastern Province Kings, which was like the pro team back in South Africa with the under-21 team. Went over to Australia, and then in 2000 came to Charlotte to actually play rugby for the Charlotte Rugby Club. I was only going to do a bit of a gap year after my studies, but ended up staying, and that's really the story. I had a good friend that I played with. I've always loved rugby and just the technical aspects and just how amazing the sport is. So I really wanted to give back to it, But I had a friend of mine who said, you know what, I think you'd be a good rugby coach. And I thought he was joking. But when my kids started playing, he's over here, I was trying to be that dad sitting on the sideline, but a couple of the coaches recognized me and said, no chance. So I can hold a bag and get involved, and it just went from there.
When we're at practice, games, he's my coach. I treat him as my coach. It's not really like a dad moment during that time, but after the game, when we're at home, after practice, he's my dad. Even when he's not coaching, he still, helps me with a lot of things at home, of course. Like with plays, talk to me like what's good, what's right, what's not good. Like we still go over like film at home and stuff, that type of deal.
A lot of our boys, we came from another club, and we looked up to him over there. And when he was like, hey, I want to start this new club, kind of like a new name for the game, a new name for the Charlotte rugby game, we all went with him. We all kind of look up to him. He's almost like a third dad, a second dad for a lot of us. And it's really nice to see him out here leading the club like he is. I mean, everything he's done, he's a safe place. He's a safe person for a lot of the kids who play out here.
I think especially at the Cardinals and most clubs that I've been around, culture first. The thing that we say at the Cardinals is the wins are great, but the journey's better, and I think a lot of sports, and it's not just here in America, it's across the world, where winning is so important, the pressure put on kids these days to win at all costs. And then as well as the coaches, where rugby, and especially for us, we want to create this community culture first. And if the wins will be a byproduct. When I first got to America in 2000, you couldn't find the games. Now it's really all over the place, whether it's 7s or 15s, and of course the Pro League. But I think it's also, I think kids are starting to realize there's more to life than football, baseball, basketball, right? Which was the key American sports, and rugby is another option, And it also helps with a lot of transferable skills. So a lot of coaches in those sports, especially football, and basketball, saying, hey, go play rugby. It's a winter sport, spring sport. You're not doing anything, go throw the ball around. This is our 5th year. We started in 2001. We broke away from the Charlotte Tigers, another great club here in Charlotte. Essentially, there were just too many kids playing winter rugby and not enough kids in the spring. There's a capacity for one club to handle the numbers. So we decided to break away from the Tigers and create the Cardinals. In our 3rd year, we went to the national championships, did pretty well. Currently, we're the number 1 ranked rugby club side in America. So from a competitive standpoint, the boys' red side or A side are doing really well. But then we have 11 other teams. Now we have 5 high school boys teams. We've got kids all the way to U10, girls and boys, just playing this amazing game and having a blast. So our numbers are incredible. We're having a bunch of fun, but you can be competitive, but at the same time, everybody plays. And I think that's also the draw card to rugby. It's not that if you don't make the varsity team, you don't play. It's every single person gets to play, gets to create memories, and just enjoy this great sport.
All right, so a lot of rugby to talk about.
Absolutely. And we're going to do so. Coming up next, we will talk live in studio with Coach Zehmke and shine the spotlight on the #1 high school rugby club team in the nation. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Varsity Spotlight. We are now joined in studio by Jason Zehmke, the head coach of the #1 high school rugby club team in the nation, the Cardinals Red Team. Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
All right, first question for you. We saw in the piece before the break that you had a chance to play and work with your dad.
Yeah.
Your son plays for you. When we talk about growing up, and generations playing this, how cool is it for you and your family?
Pretty amazing. First, of course, that the fact that he listens to me and did something that I enjoy, which was pretty amazing. But a large part of my growing up was spending time with my dad on the rugby field or next to the rugby field, and I'd be able to give that back or have that same relationship with my son was really a catalyst. And Luke has grown up watching the game, which is fantastic, and was based. I've never forced, and I'll never force a kid to play a contact sport. He was like, Dad, I'd like to do that. That looks cool,
Absolutely. Now, Coach, this club was founded back in 2021. Can you talk about the support you've received from other coaches and the parents?
Yeah, amazing support. I think the Cardinals are seen as a big community, right? They're all volunteers. Everybody's giving their piece. We've got 45 coaches across all the teams. Every single one of them is a volunteer. So it says a lot about these coaches and their involvement and giving back to the sport, right? But then every single team that we have, and we have 11 of them across different age groups, have a parent involved, a team manager that's a parent, and then tons of parents running behind the scenes, the administration, the food, all of it. So incredible support, and there's no ways we would be as successful without them.
Coach, I had a chance to go out and watch you guys practice, and I was amazed at all the kids that were out there. We're talking from high school to elementary. What does that say, and you mentioned you have 45 coaches or something like that, what does that say about the popularity of the sport, rugby, in the States?
Yeah, it's growing. It's on a rocket ship, especially in the girls' game, with Ilona Mar, who's been a catalyst to getting the word out, but it's obviously very big overseas. But I think the way it's been approached, especially with the Cardinals and in Charlotte, that it is another alternative to the football, the basketballs, the soccers, and a transferable skill. But yeah, as I mentioned, the girls on a rocket ship, the boys are, colleges are playing, the World Rugby Cup is coming, the Rugby World Cup is coming in 2031 to America. So a lot of spotlight on the sport right now, and kids are taking note.
Absolutely. Part of the spotlight is, the anthem here in Charlotte, the pro rugby team right here in the Queen City. And the league consists of 6 teams. So how does that excite the kids in the club? And do you have a good relationship with that team?
Fantastic relationship with the president, Patrick, who's over there. I think that's a very important part of growing any sport that is almost seen as a niche, is that parents seeing that there's life after high school. Right? In the past, it was like, a lot of parents are like, you play high school, is that just some sort of hobby that you do? No, there's college rugby. Right. You can go play all over the country. We have several kids playing overseas rugby. But then on top of that, if you really want to do something with it, you can play professional rugby. And the amount of parents that just don't know that or get to understand that when they get involved with the Cardinals is pretty amazing.
Right. Awesome. Stick around. We're going to talk with you a little bit later. All right, we're going to have more with the coach here in just a few minutes. But now let's hear from a couple of the young men who anchor the high school team and about what the sport is and what it means to them. Take a look.
I think the first thing I ever held was a mini rugby ball when I was a baby, so I've always been around it. But right now, I love rugby. I've really drawn to love the game. It's a great sport overall. The culture, the atmosphere, everything about it is just amazing. And over these years, 10 plus years now, it's always been great, and I've loved it.
One of the boys out here, his dad came in. I remember I was in middle school and my mom was like, you've got to join some type of club. And at the time I was playing soccer and they came in and it was like a rugby club. And I was like, oh, if I can just play another sport instead of having joined the band or something, then I'll do that for sure. I think it's really, a lot of the football guys come over just because they're not getting a lot of minutes out there, and there's so much more physical action in every single game, and the game doesn't stop. People like how fast it is for sure. In football, the game stops every play, every tackle, something stops. But in rugby, the game never stops, and people enjoy the fast type of play with that, and I think that's what attracts a lot of people. And we get people a lot, with football, a lot of the time it's if you're not very good, then you're never going to play. But with rugby, we have so many people come out, and there's so many other teams too that you might be one of the worst people on the football team, but you come out here and there's always a team for you to play on, and there's always people for you to play against too.
I think a contribution is the MLR for sure. The league, when that first introduced, it's been growing since. And I think a lot of other cultures outside of the U.S. Have been helping a lot too, because you're getting all these major games coming to the U.S. Ireland and New Zealand a couple months ago last year, and then this year South Africa versus New Zealand, which will help bring more fans to the game. And I think just all that exposure has gradually built up the past years to where it is now.
It's really sweet to see that there's a place for us to go, because a lot of it used to be you would play rugby in high school, maybe you could take it to college, but now that there's pro teams in the U.S., it gives a lot of the guys a hope for playing professionally beyond that, because before it was you could be the most skilled player ever, but there was nowhere for you to go after that. And now that there's a higher pathway, people can make jobs out of it, careers, and then they can take that overseas with them if they want. They can stay here, but you have a safeness now with it where you can find income, especially at the next level.
It's a great team. We've all been growing with the game ever since middle school, basically. We've known each other for so long. I think just the chemistry with all the people we have here have just built every year to the point where we just know each other really well, and I don't know, it's just a really fun atmosphere to be a part of, and we just make it fun as well.
Absolutely love the passion and energy. What a great group of guys.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
All right, well, coming up next, we'll shine the spotlight on the high school girls team that is also one of the best teams in the country. That's up next. To Varsity Spotlight. In the last segment, we introduced you to the boys' high school rugby team, part of the Charlotte Cardinals Rugby Club.
They're currently the best team in the nation. However, there's also a girls' high school rugby team. They're pretty strong. Let's hear from them.
I've actually been playing for over 20 years. I started playing in Charlotte Catholic in their inaugural year. And then that transitioned to me going to play in school and then getting involved with the men's teams. And as I started getting older, I wanted to kind of give back my love of the sport and started getting into coaching with Marvin Ridge High School and then the Cardinals. And then I had the opportunity to take on the girls program, which has just been an exciting challenge overall. They're extremely competitive, extremely hardworking, and it's developed my love even further for the game, and I'm able to kind of give something back. You know, I have 4 daughters myself, so I'm very naturally kind of transitioning into, you know, teenage girls and, you know, the uniqueness of that, comparatively speaking. And so it's just been a lot of fun over the last couple of years. Just, you know, getting involved with the high school level, you know, at Marvin Ridge in particular, we have a massive undertaking with our middle school that develops into our high school. And at one point, we even had 3 full high school teams that were competing within North Carolina. So I think we're seeing that growth overall, and kids are seeing that this is another alternative to be in a contact sport and have some fun. And it gives it a completely different cultural dynamic than, you know, football does. I mean, these guys are coming out here and it really is just a cohesive unit of offense, defense, and having to, you know, really round out as an athlete as opposed to specializing in one individual aspect.
This community is so different. It's not like soccer or basketball, any other community. You can go and hit your opposing team on the field, and then you can be laughing after you hit them, apologize if there's a hard hit. There's always a third half with food and laughter, and there's never a time that I feel I can't connect to any of these girls. If I have a bad day from school, I can come. I'm laughing automatically when I get there.
This girls team, we're having a great season this year. We were in Friendship Cup in Nashville a couple weeks ago, where we were 2-1. Got to play some teams from all over the country, including Utah, Texas, and Tennessee.
People want to come out and try something new, and they realize when they get here, the people are so different. And you can be completely, if you can come from like Africa, New Zealand, Germany, anywhere, and the sport is just growing everywhere. And you can come in and connect with all these people.
They're extremely competitive, and they show up to practice every single time trying to get better. And there really is a goal of, you know, building this team into a national contender. We have multiple girls that are getting interest from the USA camps as well, and we have multiple girls that are going to school to play rugby. One in particular is going to Cardiff Met over in Wales next year as part of, you know, what rugby is starting to give back to, you know, what our kids have. Additionally, and I believe this is still true, there are more colleges giving scholarship money to girls than there are to boys at this point. And so there's a lot of opportunities for these girls to not, you know, their journey doesn't end here. It can continue to build and grow, you know, into the, you know, USA and college ranks. So it's a great opportunity for them.
You know, I think the cool part is the scholarship part. Yeah, awesome. I mean, I didn't even know that. I learn more and more about it every day.
Absolutely.
But the girls getting scholarships, it's just awesome.
Absolutely. All right, well, we have one more segment to go. Coming up, we'll have Coach Zehmke back in studio, along with the girls' head coach, Dean Kelsey. Stick around.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Varsity Spotlight. In the last segment, we introduced you to Dean Kelsey, the head coach of the high school rugby team. The girls part of it, it's part of the Charlotte Cardinals Rugby Club.
Yeah, Coach Kelsey joins us now on set, along with Coach Zehmke. Now, Coach Kelsey, first question for you.
Yes, sir.
So when you see the girls show up and show out for rugby, just how special is that for you?
Oh, I think it's incredible. It's because when you think about the sport overall, you don't think about that women's aspect. And, seeing the women's sport grow the way it has in popularity, especially coming off the Olympics, the recent, bronze medal Olympics, there's kind of a renewed energy with it. And we've just had a level of success with the girls that we just continue to, churn them out. And we have a U14 program that's feeding into our program. And so it's just incredibly special to see them try a new sport and then become very successful with it.
I was at practice and I was amazed at how many kids were out there when I talked to, Coach Zehmke about it. And then I saw the amount of girls who were out there. And when I think rugby, I really don't think girls. I just don't. What is it about the sport that really draws them to that?
I think it's just the uniqueness of it and the culture that rugby has it sets it apart from all these other sports. It is a sport for literally anybody. It doesn't matter your size, anything. There is a spot for you on the field. Culturally, we accept everybody. As soon as a new girl shows up, they are welcome with open arms. And we have a level of coaching where we can, take somebody who's brand new and somebody who is, looking at the USA level, and we can start bringing those together. And so it's just an incredible thing to witness with the girls.
When I was at practice with you guys, and you talked a little bit about it in the story we just saw, the number of girls who are playing at the next level.
Yeah.
As a coach, how do you get these girls ready for that opportunity maybe?
I think the credit goes on them and their determination. I think my job is to just put them in a position to succeed, but they're the ones who go out there day in and day out and execute. We have hard practices, we go into the details, but then they take it seriously. They go home and they watch film, they watch professional rugby, they try and develop themselves, and that just makes our lives, and my life in particular, very easy because they want this. And we do have a number of girls who are going on, to play, in the USA pool. In Cardiff, we just had a signing last night at our game where girls going to Queens on a scholarship. So, these opportunities are theirs, and they're the ones who are making that effort and making that execution happen.
What's the approach like when they first get into it? Some of them, if they haven't played before, getting ready for that kind of contact. How long does it take to kind of get them acclimated to that contact?
Yeah, it depends upon who you're talking to. Some people just show up naturally, want to put their shoulder into somebody. Other people are a little more hesitant, and we do start with the tackle side from the ground level. Literally, it's from the knees, just having somebody walk into you and how to properly put your shoulder into a hip. And then that progresses. So, for those who are really willing, it's only a couple of weeks. And for others, it takes a little more time to develop. And we give them that time, and we put in, that effort to make sure that when they go out there, that they're as safe as possible and can make those tackles, and they feel confident in that tackle.
Coach Zehmke, along the same lines, can you talk about that? You have a young kid come out. The physical part of it, how do you get them acclimated and growing into the sport?
Yeah, very much the same. It's with defense, especially tackling, and just for those watching, it's very low. Everything's from sort of the chest down, so
right.
Very safe arm tackling. But it's all very mental. A lot of kids are very hesitant, but it starts, like Coach Dean just said, on the knees, how to fall properly. It's very technical, right? And we reiterated almost every practice. We have a contact session where so when kids do go into the game, they're mentally and physically prepared for the contact.
Coaches, just talk a little bit about your parent involvement. You said in the community involvement surrounding both of your clubs. How much has that been able to drive this organization in the last 5 years?
It's the lifeblood of it. I have two team parents, one I've had for the last 2 years, and I can honestly tell you, without her support and her the logistical nightmares that we face with all the travels and stuff, I wouldn't be able to do it without the parental support. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, and I echo that. There's so many changes spring rain is not rugby's friend when you are on grass fields for practices, and there's always changes, whether it's practice time or game times. But I think a big part of the just the marketing of the sport and the Cardinals and getting the word out comes from parents. We've had parents talk to other parents and say, I don't know, have you tried rugby? And they were like, what are you talking about? I said, well, my kid plays for this Cardinals Rugby Club and he's having the greatest time. And then the parents talk, and and that's been a huge piece of driving our numbers at the Cardinals, for sure.
Briefly, quickly, where do you go from here? As a club.
As a club. Yeah, you could obviously have more numbers, but you don't. I don't think that's the way we want to go. We could have another club up north in the Huntersville area, but we do have kids coming from there. I think what we would like to do as a club is use our blueprint and help other clubs in the area. Like you don't have to be the Cardinals, but this is what's worked for us. Maybe share those ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
Coaches, thank you so much for everything you do. Congrats on everything. Best of luck to the club as it moves forward. We'll follow you guys along.
Appreciate it. Thank you
Awesome.
very much.
All right, hey, that's it for this week's Varsity Spotlight. Make sure to see stories like this and more. You head over to our Bay Hackle Sports YouTube channel and subscribe. Also, check out our social media.
Yeah, and also be sure to check out Talking Sports with my dad every Saturday at 11 and Sunday at 7. We'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend.
Just one more night, 'cause life's got a